Welcome to the invisible side of creation, a space where we explore the hidden principles that shape our lives, our work, and our influence in the world. Principles rooted in consciousness, not in hostile or greed mentality. I am Luli Maki, and my work sits at the intersection of higher consciousness and real-world responsibility. I support conscious leaders, purpose-driven entrepreneurs, and younger generations in becoming true conscious stewards of power, influence, and responsibility, helping them to act and build from awareness rather than reactivity, make decisions from discernment rather than pressure, and understand that how they lead is just as important as what they lead. I envision a generation that grows from inner alignment, makes choices with clarity, and creates impact that is grounded, sustainable, and in integrity. Not driven by urgency or burnout, but by depth, coherence, and truth. In this podcast, we go beyond quick fixes or surface-level advice. This is not about doing more or pushing harder. Here we focus on developing the inner capacity to create a life and a world that truly lasts. Today, we will start by exploring a principle that underpins all lasting creation. This principle is the law of validation. We will discover why in spiritual creation, unlike the physical world, effort does not always produce immediate results, and why patience, consistency, and inspection are the foundation of everything that truly endures. If you have ever felt like you were working hard and results weren't coming at your pace, this episode is for you. Today, we will understand how to build with a solid foundation, how to validate what we have built, and why only through spiritual validation we can expand safely and reliably. The first difference to understand when walking toward a new reality is the distinction between the construction stage and the inspection stage. In the physical construction, effort produces immediate results. What you do, you see. But in spiritual architecture, when we are trying to build from a higher consciousness, we always need validation. Validation is a process that enables you to move into a new territory. And it follows its own laws. This is a central reason why effort does not accelerate the arrival of a new reality. In a world that constantly pushes people to make effort instead of aligning with spiritual principles. When you decide to build a new life, the first thing to understand is that you must first build the consciousness capable of sustaining it. As you progress, you will go through different inspection stages where your progress is evaluated beyond your control and immediate perception. This happens because the only way to create true prosperity and a life of real value is by following the principles of higher consciousness. Until you demonstrate that what you are building respects spiritual hierarchy, you cannot move forward. Eliminating the illusion of becoming successful through shortcuts or foundations that are neither true nor solid. During the construction stage, you are in control. This can create the illusion that results should follow your own pace. This is where impatience typically appears. However, inspection occurs outside of your timeline and follows standards that existed before you began building. No amount of effort can accelerate these standards because they obey spiritual hierarchy. This means that those who truly possess validation from higher consciousness can only move forward. As you grow, you begin to understand that not every door is for you, and that you only progress with what has passed spiritual validation. Therefore, patience is not optional, it is structural. Creating a life of greater abundance and real value first requires a preparation stage where you develop a structure aligned with higher consciousness. Patience, preparation, and trust are required along the way. In a fast-paced world obsessed with quantity and visibility, higher order invite us not to do more, but to choose better as a way to create a life of true value. This means recognizing that our capacity is limited. While abundance is unlimited, our ability to receive and manage it is what must be trained. Impatience is the demand for results to appear before the foundation has been tested. Preparation is not declared by the builder. It is confirmed by inspection. It cannot be rushed because it compromises the integrity of what is built, and you should understand that if you compromise the integrity, that will affect everything that comes after. Finally, validation precedes trust. You cannot trust something that hasn't been tested, nor build upon something that hasn't been spiritually validated. The importance of invisible consistency is a fundamental part of the inspection process. Stability develops before it is visible, especially in a world obsessed with visibility but lacking patience to work correctly in the long term. Doing the work when no one is watching is the foundation of reliable authority. Maintaining your standards under pressure and without recognition documents that your capacity to take on greater responsibility is stable. Here is a crucial point. External inspection reveals structural weaknesses in a way you cannot see yourself. True readiness can never be self-declared. You cannot validate your own foundation, nor authorize your own promotion. True readiness is determined by forces outside your control. You cannot see your own weaknesses without the objectivity of an external observer. You cannot test your foundation under conditions you have never experienced. Only what passes external validation carries weight and authority. Validated authority has a solidity that cannot be manufactured or imitated. It does not depend on your intentions, desires. It depends on the reality of your structure and your proven capacity to support what you intend to build. During the construction process, you will go through periods of silence. This silence during validation is not rejection, it is a sign of deep evaluation. Construction continues even when others cannot see your progress, because every foundation begins in the invisible, and nothing escapes a higher order. It also reminds us that spiritual maturity is necessary to build value, and that what is not spiritually validated will not lead you to true success. The law of validation teaches us that shortcuts never lead us to the right place, that inspection and validation stages are not under our control, and that the heavier that what you build, the more sophisticated the inspection, requiring correction and refinement many times. Every new level of expansion requires a new validation stage, and every increase in responsibility requires inspection. With proper validation, expansion leads to sustainable authority. Without it, everything you build ends in collapse. Patience, consistency, and preparation are the pillars that sustain every lasting creation. True growth and spiritual authority cannot be rushed or improvised. They are built through consistency, deep validation, and respect for the principles that sustain everything of value. The law of validation is non-negotiable, and it must be respected. And only then you can build something that truly endures. I invite you to reflect which parts of your life need inspection before you can move forward. Where you need to bring order. Only what has been validated can bear the weight of what comes next. Patience, consistency, and preparation are not optional, they are structural. Thank you for joining me on the invisible side of creation. If you enjoyed this episode, you can leave a like or a comment. See you in the next episode, where we will continue making the invisible visible.